Hei hei, vähäksi aikaa. We are leaving Iceland and Arctica for now, just to go and check out a boat that we are possibly very interested in buying.
Which is also quite far away.
Yeah.
And also looks a little bit sketchy.
Yeah, we've seen some photos. Looks interesting to say the least. Might be right up our alley. So this boat that we are going to go and look at, it has sat on the heart for 15 years, and that's why it looks like it currently does. I think unfortunately life got kind of in the way for the current owner, and that's why she hasn't seen much care in the last years. But the boat itself is a European built Garcia, around 44-45 feet. And these are like pretty well respected boats in Europe. So it's it's interesting enough for us to fly over all the way to the States to look at it. In Europe, the market for these kind of boats is like really tight at the moment. It's really hard to find one that is reasonably priced. But obviously this one it's a big question mark. We have to see if the project would be worth it for us. So what do you think?
Yeah, I like the vineyards here. I think it would be quite nice to spend some months here.
It's pretty warm here, definitely a change of scenery and temperature for us. But we would still be sailing north after we fix her up. But it might be nice to spend a couple of months in an actual warm and nice place.
Not to say that Iceland is not nice.
Hii ja hoi. Voidaan ottaa Porosuomeen tänne Jäkälään. Okay, now it's already our third day here at the boat, and yeah, I haven't had the time to do a proper tour before because we have just been so busy, but I thought I'd do it now, and I don't know, let's see if we should buy this thing because we are still in the middle of the decision process as well. So here we go. So first of all, the hull is pretty good, and the paint here on top sides and bottom paint is pretty good as well. The current owner renewed this. As you can see, there is a small flat section here. It extends from the bow all the way almost to the stern, and that's where the boat sits on when it's on the dry or on a beach. And like you can see, it's a centerboard boat. The ballast is inside the hull. There is no ballast in the centerboard. And centerboard swings inside this case. And you can see there's a couple of like dents in the hull, which is not unusual. And because it's an aluminum boat, it's not really, you don't really have to be afraid of it being structural. But if you look at the hull like this, you can see there's a couple of dents there, for example. You can barely see it. This is how you should look at the hull to see if it's warped or something from the front or the back. And there is a kind of like a skeg that protects the propeller. And here is the specialty of this boat. There is a dagger board here, and this is not the rudder. The rudder comes out of this, that's for the rudder tube. The dagger board is just to provide balance to the boat because the rudder is kind of shallow. The rudder has to be shallow because otherwise if it would be deeper, you wouldn't be able to beach the boat anymore. From this side of the boat, you start to see, yeah, it's a little bit more dirty because all of the dirt has accumulated on this side. So let's go up and have a closer look. So when we get up, we have two storage lockers here in the back, and then actually in here you can put a life raft, so that's quite clever. And this one here is the rear dagger board. It's not the rudder, that's the dagger board. It's just been taken off for now, and that one hasn't been painted. And it's really dirty, and you can see there's a lot of stuff here. What you can see here in the cockpit are there's two big storage lockers here. These are like really huge. I'm not gonna open them now, but they are very big, and that's definitely a big plus for us. This hard dodger here is a pretty big plus as well. If you have to build something like that from the scratch, because this is not original, then it's going to be pretty expensive and a pretty time-consuming project. Also, some things that came standard with this boat is like this stern arch with an integrated davit system, so you can use that at least for a small dinghy. I think it's probably not sturdy enough for something really big, but for a small dinghy that's gonna be fine. You could mount some solar panels and stuff there, or you could extend the thing, build some more supports for more solar panels if you wanted to. The winches here have been covered and they click over and they sound fine. Obviously they would need to be serviced as well. And you know, these are the parts then that have suffered from this long storage. So everything that's on the deck, all the blocks, the big ones are pretty much seized, but these ones you could rebuild. The small ones are plastic. These ones, you know, you could use them, but they have suffered from degradation, of course, because of the sun. So the California sun is kind of brutal, and you can definitely see it here on the deck. And of course, all of the running rigging, all of the ropes would have to be replaced. I mean, there's a bird's nest inside the mainsail. The mainsail, I looked inside the cover. Unfortunately, even though it's been covered by this, it still looks quite bad. So that would have to be replaced as well. And the same, of course, goes for the two head sails. Here you can see some of the advantages of the aluminium construction, and that is, you know, these granny bars and even the Genoa tracks down there and the self-tacking track. You know, everything is welded onto the deck, so you know these are never going to be leaking. And when we go downstairs, you will notice that there are no leaks and the interior is bone dry. The same applies, you know, for all of the attachment points for the shrouds. These are the kind of things that you will, of course, you have to check them, but there's no need to worry about them that much. On a fiberglass boat, I would be a lot more careful with this stuff. But yeah, it's dirty here, and in the front we have the two head sails. We have big anchor locker, which is full of crap right now. Big anchor locker, anchor winch, status unknown. There's also a bird's nest over there. This is a sandblasting machine. It's included in the sail, but I'm not sure if it works and whether we need it. Let's go downstairs and check out the interior, because that's quite interesting as well. But let's check out this big hard dodger area first, because this is where you'd be sitting and chilling out normally when sailing. So this is actually a good solution, I think, for a boat of this size, because pilot house or deck saloon, it will eat up a lot of the interior space and make it kind of weird, or it can do that at least. But something like this, you have a really good view, which you wouldn't have normally from a pilot house, if you know, on this size of a boat. And then you are pretty well protected. and you could pretty easily build a canvas back here, something that you could close off during passages or also at anchor, and then even if you have rain from the back, you would be pretty well protected. Like a canvas back with big transparent windows here would be pretty good, and then you have like your navigation equipment here, and you have like pretty quick access to the wheel as well. So I like this kind of a solution. It's not going to be as warm as a real pilot house, but you know, that's just how it is. Everything is a compromise. This hatch here is standard on the Garcia boats like this, so they are pretty nice and waterproof. You can really knock them down. Let's go inside then. Boom! Now we are inside the boat, and Sohav is hiding somewhere over there as well, checking things out. And this is kind of the specialty of this boat as well, this really big, huge galley slash lounge area with the big seating group in the back, and then the engine is in the middle, and then you have this really big navigation table that can actually like sit 4 people here, and then you have a pretty big galley as well. And yeah, it's definitely an interesting solution for the interior. They also made these boats with 2 stern cabins instead of this kind of an arrangement. The plus side of something like this is of course that you have pretty good access to the engine. The minus side is you lose berths and you probably lose some storage as well. But let's have a better look at the galley first. So in here under there is going to be the centerboard case, and that also forms part of this table here. And then this is actually a big like a spot for a big trash bag, and you have your standard 2 deep sinks, a big stove which hopefully still works. Then there is a big fridge freezer combination here, and some storage up above and some over here as well. Not really a huge amount of storage in this galley. That's a small minus. You could maybe build some more storage in here. Then the seating group here is kind of like I said, it's kind of interesting, but it's absolutely huge. So these can be also used as sea berths, or you could at least modify them, so add some lee clothes, and I think there actually are some lee clothes even. And I'm a little bit over 6 foot, and this is like way too big actually for me, so you could cut off part of this, use it for something else, and you would still have enough space to sleep in there if you wanted to. And the engine is down there, and it only has 400 hours on it, and it was installed just a year or 2 before the boat went up on the hard. So we are going to test run that one later today. The mechanic is gonna come in, and we're gonna do that with his help. Other than that, just a lot of stuff in here. Here's the big nav table and some of the old electronics that are a little bit outdated, but for example, you know, they still work, most of them at least. Autopilot I tested and it works and so on. Now let's go forward. There's kind of this pretty tight hallway, and in here is the heads. Can't really see in here that well because it's kind of dark, but the toilet has been taken out, and I think the plan was to convert to a composting toilet. So there's some work to do there. Then there is a separate shower, but it's just for sitting down, and obviously, like you can see, there is a lot of stuff here, like really a lot, so it's kind of hard to see through all of this, and you need some imagination to kind of try and figure out how it would be when all of this is cleaned out. This is the master cabin with a big bed. Currently there's a lot of sails there and a lot of storage underneath and a big locker and so on, but a lot of stuff again. And this is the forward cabin. There's actually a separate work table here, and then again a lot of stuff. What else? We've checked the water and diesel tanks. We've opened them all. There were big inspection hatches, which is a really good thing, and the tanks were fine, and that's important on a boat like this because they are integral tanks. They are part of the aluminum hull, and if you get problems there, then yeah, it can be an issue. And you know, if because they are aluminum, if you have water with some chemicals in it or even just chloride, then you might get some corrosion in there. But we didn't really find any, except of just some small pitting in the water tanks. So that's good. And on the whole, structural, there's a lot to do, of course, but we haven't found like any structural problems. The hull seems good. The interior actually also seems pretty, you know, it's dry and it's pretty well made. It's not like how should I put it? It's not like Hallberg Rassi quality maybe, the interior joinery, but it's pretty solid and nice. And it's dry inside. There has been no water. I haven't found any water anywhere. Doesn't seem like there are any deck leaks, which is of course another advantage of an aluminum boat, that if everything is welded shut, it can't really leak. You know, the hull to deck joint can't leak, and so on. The hatches would need to be, some of them would need to be replaced, and there might be small leak in one of the port lights. The engine started up after a few tries and ran very nicely with just a tiny bit of white smoke, which is normal. We bypassed the impeller and sprayed water directly into the heat exchanger, and that's why there isn't more water coming out. The water was kind of rusty, but that was kind of expected as well. This was of course not a comprehensive test of the engine, but it was the best that we could do at this time. Although we didn't film it, we also looked at every nook and cranny in the boat and opened all of the bilges and structural areas that we could. We also saw a thorough survey report that was done just before the boat was put onto the hard 15 years ago, and it didn't list anything serious either. But it became clear to us that most of the boat would have to be re-equipped, which would be a very costly affair. One of the biggest jobs would be to redo the electric system, which was in disarray, typical for an older boat like this. Then it was time for the big decision. First, was this the boat that we were looking for? And second, how much would we be ready to pay? The answer to the first question was yes. In the coming videos, I'll talk about why we chose to go for this boat out of the dozen or so boats that I've looked at during these last 2 years. The price was a different matter. This is the kind of a boat where many will say that we are crazy to pay anything for it. And then there's the others who might be familiar with these boats and maybe say that we got a good deal.
Yeah, well, we started the negotiations from 88,000 US.
85,000.
85, and then after these days and so on, now we agreed on 57,000 US dollars.
Yeah.
So we are buying the boat.
Yeah, we are buying the boat, and we are paying 57,000 US dollars for it. Now we'll head back to Iceland. We're gonna fly back early tomorrow morning, and
not on the day after tomorrow like we thought
Yeah.
until today, so we had a little bit
Yeah.
of a
yeah, we've been so like
rushed day.
busy digging through the boat and with everything that we actually kind of made a mistake with our flights. We thought that we are flying day over tomorrow, but it turns out it's actually tomorrow, and we only realized that like
today.
today around noon. So it's been hectic to say the least. But I hope we are a little bit better organized with the refit, which will follow in the coming videos. And hope to see all of you then. Bye bye.
Good night.